More than 5 million Americans are diagnosed with heart valve disease every year, and a new national heart patient and caregiver survey is offering some new exciting findings that you might want to take note of. During a time when fear of COVID-19 has led to unprecedented delays in treatment and care for patients with critical cardiac conditions, these insights are more important than ever, especially when 50% of patients with aortic stenosis do not survive more than 2 years if left untreated. The survey also found the need for early treatment during COVID-19. This research shows attitudes and perceptions of more than 3,400 patients from the HeartValveSurgery.com community, the world's largest educational resource and community of heart valve patients. And with us to tell us more about this is Adam Pick. Adam, welcome to the show. Good to have you with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me here today to share some information with you and your listeners.
Yeah, I can't wait. I mean, this is really critical, very important stuff. And as you say, in light of COVID-19, let's talk specifically the Active Living Survey and Awareness Initiative. What is it?
Yeah, great question. So just so you and your listeners are aware, I'm actually a patient. I struggled with heart valve disease, specifically aortic stenosis, and I cannot thank you enough for providing an opportunity to share this information on your platform, because it really can be a lifesaver. And that is something that is really important to me, and it's part of our mission as we educate and empower patients at HeartValveSurgery.com. And let's talk about the survey. This was something really, really special. We got together, we had a response of about 3,400 patients and caregivers tell us about their experiences with heart valve disease from the moment they were diagnosed to the moment that they were recovered. And the findings were just very, very interesting. For example, as you may know, heart valve disease is a pretty debilitating disease. You can have symptoms like shortness of breath. You can be tired. You can have leg swelling, chest pain, heart palpitation. That is not fun for anybody. And oftentimes, that is a sign or taken as a sign of aging, because this disease is often associated as it's degenerative with people in their later years of life. But what we found in the survey was nearly half of the respondents said, you know something, we're going to select a treatment option that does what? It gets us our life back. And that was really neat to see, because what active living is for one patient is not the same as another. So we had patients say, hey, you know what, I want to get back to exercising again. Other patients saying, I want to get back to traveling again. Other folks said, I just want to be with my family. I just want to live and spend time with them. And so that was one of the really interesting findings. The other thing is that patients, they didn't want to wait to get treatment. So, for example, in looking back over their surgical experience, 27% of patients said, you know something, if I was to do this whole thing again, I would have done it sooner, right? And again, it just echoes that whole feeling of give me my life back. Those were some of the other findings we found was, you hear heart surgery. Oof, that's a big one. That's scary. But take a guess what the satisfaction rate of heart valve patients were when they thought about their surgical experience. Do you want to take a guess?
Gosh, I don't know, 50% maybe?
Yeah, that's what I would have thought. It was 80% of patients were extremely satisfied with their surgical results. And then amazing, right? And then when you think about some of these newer technologies, these transcatheter aortic valve replacement therapies in which there's no incision to the chest, no incision to the ribs, you're not on a heart-lung machine, that number went up to 90%. So again, these were just some of the findings that were really, encouraging as we decided to go about putting together this active living patient awareness campaign.
Well, Adam, as a patient, how did this survey align with your personal story? Tell our audience about that.
Yeah, so I gotta tell you, this is an absolute fluke that I'm on the phone with you. If you would have asked me 20 years ago, would I be having this conversation with you? The answer would be no. 10 years ago, no. I had my procedure done in 2005. And I got to tell you, I've worked in technology my whole life with hardware companies and software companies. And so when I got diagnosed with aortic stenosis, I got to tell you, it was really difficult. I went through all the fear, all the uncertainty, all the doubt, and that still applied in this survey. We had, I think it was about 64% of patients said the fear of death is still there with them. But as I went through this process of getting treated, when I went through the process of getting fully recovered, what I found was what a lot of these patients have found, which is heart valve surgery can be viewed as just a wonderful reset on your own personal health. It can be a way to say, hey, you know something? I had a bump in the road. You know, these clinicians, these surgeons, these really incredible doctors have been doing this for many, many years. I tend to help patients and help myself through this realize that this was a huge opportunity, often called what I call a second chance, and I'm not alone in that. And so I decided to go about this process of saying, hey, let me help the next patient go through this. Let me pay it forward, and that's why we started HeartValveSurgery.com. It really was. I put up a blog. There was 5 people coming into it a month, and the next thing I knew, 6 months later, a year later, we had 50,000 people a month. And so what I experienced was very similar to what a lot of these other patients were. If I knew I could feel better going through this, I would have done it earlier. Yeah.
Is this sense of that a return to normal, you might say? You know, that I could be normal again?
Yeah, it's another great question. There's no doubt about it. You know, we go into this hoping, the patient mind actually is a little different because really if you talk to a lot of patients when they go through this, before being normal, they think, I just want to live. I just want to make it through the surgery, right? I want to wake up. But when you go into the recovery and you layer in certain elements of the recovery that can help patients and benefit them, like cardiac rehabilitation, I'd submit to you that you can not only achieve normal, but you can exceed normal. And just so you're aware, I have one limitation on me. I've gone back to scuba diving. I've gone back to surfing. I've gone back to running. I've gone on to have a wife, a son. But there's one thing my doctor, Dr. Von Starnes at USC, said to me. He said, Adam, you can do all that stuff, just don't skydive. That was the one thing he said not to do. Now, is that normal? Well, considering I didn't do I never done that before, I feel pretty darn normal these days, as do many of the patients.
Well, without a doubt. What are the biggest misconceptions about AS?
Yeah, so AS, also known as aortic stenosis, and what that is a narrowing of your heart valve. And so if your valve is narrow, it can't get blood out of the heart into the rest of the organs of the body. So what does the heart have to do? It has to compensate. So it works overtime, as what they say. And in that process, you work anything too hard, a muscle, anything like that, it's going to fatigue, and eventually it can wear out. So that's really what aortic stenosis is. Here's kind of I would say the things that I would love everybody in the world to know about AS. First is it's underdiagnosed, it's misdiagnosed, and it's undertreated. So I saw a survey not too long ago, only 18% of the population who could be treated do get treated.
Well, Adam, we're running out of time here. We got less than a minute, so real quick, we're going to put 2 questions together and put a wrap on this. Quick advice that you'd give to the community to seek treatment and stay in care, especially during COVID-19. And again, remind them where they can go for more information. We got 40 seconds left. Go ahead.
Yeah. So here's my advice to patients. Don't wait. If you need some treatment, need some diagnostic tests done, don't wait. The reason is your valve disease is not going to wait for COVID to get better. We know structural heart disease leads to damage, and folks have been waiting, and it's been resulting in health emergencies like stroke and other emergencies. Where you can get information, real simple. All you have to do is go to HeartValveSurgery.com. If you go to that website, you'll see a link as you scroll down the page. You click it, and we've designed an entire website to help you learn more about aortic stenosis, more about heart valve disease, and how and where to get treatment.
AS patient and success story. Yes, he is alive and very well. Adam Pick here on Bill Martinez Live. Adam, thank you so much for sharing. Appreciate it.
Bill, thank you.